Hey, Lizards, Gizmo here. I wanted to share some of the cigars we'll be smoking in June and July, so you can smoke along with us if you'd like. For Cubans, we've got Kai Dorsey Coronas Claros, Partagas Series P No. 2, Vegas Robena Unicos, San Cristobal de la Habana La Punta, and Por Laranaga Petite Corona. And for New Worlds, we've got Herrera Esteli Habano in Robusto Grande, Opus X PerfecXion 888, Oliva V in Churchill, and Davidoff Millennium in Pyramid, with much, much more to come. Have a suggestion? Email us, loungelizardspod@gmail.com. That's loungelizardspod@gmail.com. And now, let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo, and tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some Irish whiskey, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 31st official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We discuss our experience with the Opus X line, clean eating, and the final season of Ozark on Netflix, all among a variety of other things for the next hour. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair Green Spot Single Pot Still Irish Whiskey with Fuente Fuente Opus X PerfecXion 888. Our first Opus X tonight from Arturo Fuente's Fuente Fuente family line, the PerfecXion 888. I got to say, Bam, I don't know how in the hell you found any sort of quantity of these because I can't find them anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, so I was on my way back from work and I needed a cigar. And he had a full box of these. Had one, blew me away, immediately purchased enough for the lizards to have a review. It's very pod-worthy.
I am, I've had a few Opus before. We have a friend at the clubhouse who's big into Fuente. And I've never really loved Fuente, to be honest. But when you showed me these, this size in they call it a Lonsdale 44 by a little under 7 inches, 6 7/8. Yeah. This is right in my, and I think our wheelhouse as far as
aesthetically,
Vitola.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And really I say this as someone who's similar to Gizmo. I not only have generally not been an Opus fan, but I've actively hated Opus.
Me too. I would not deny that.
Yeah. And I've had a Torpedo Opus that I had a very bad experience with. But this shape is beautiful.
It's intriguing.
The ring gauge is awesome. I'm actually very curious. It's got a dark wrapper. This should be
I've only had
different.
This is my only third Opus that I've ever had.
Got it.
I honestly liked every one of them, but I don't pursue this cigar for many reasons, which we could talk about.
So it's interesting they call this a Lancero. You know, we have to cut it, but before we cut it, I mean, it comes to a really interesting point.
Yeah,
at the head of the cigar.
It's like a Coke bottle.
Yeah, it looks like a pencil almost.
Yeah.
You know, like a thick pencil. It's very odd.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen a cigar like that comes to a point like that.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
All right, boys, let's cut this thing. See what we're getting on the cold draw. Mine doesn't seem very densely packed.
No.
It seems...
And the draw is wide open.
Kind of lightly packed.
You'll find that it's wide open.
Oh, it is. I took a very little bit off. It's really nice.
What do you guys think of the cold draw?
Kind of getting like a hay or something.
So the cold draw, I'm also getting like hay, but I have to say, if you smell this wrapper, I mean, it smells like barnyard and honestly, even manure. I can't say that I love the smell of the wrapper.
It's very earthy.
I don't know. I like it.
It's too much for me. This goes back to an episode we were talking about. I think, like I said, I can deal with the barnyard where it's like a barn that has hay and a horse hasn't been there in God knows how long. But
a brand new barn.
A brand new barn, but the barn where the horse just took a shit 10 minutes ago, that's more what I'm getting.
This is going to go bad.
on the cold draw?
I'll take them all back.
No, smell the
Hand
wrapper.
them back.
Smell the wrapper.
Gizmo, get him. I'll take him. I'm taking
not
him
getting
home.
that.
Give him back.
You're not getting
You're not getting the horse just took a shit?
Everyone smell the wrapper.
No, I don't smell poopy.
No.
Please smell the wrapper.
On the cold draw, for me, it's a tiny bit sweet. And
I'm not getting the manure thing.
Yeah, I don't get
No,
that.
I'm actually on the cold draw.
Yeah.
Not on the cold draw. I want to make sure I'm clear here.
Yeah. on the cold
wrapper,
draw,
it's earthy.
I'm actually getting kind of that signature Fuente flavor, amped up. semi-shark like, maybe even like a little bit of shortbread.
It's a really, really beautiful cigar.
On
Yeah.
but it's shortbread, but it's got a little bit of a pungent note to it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, so I'm smelling Senator's cigar. He just handed it to me because he's not happy that we're disputing him. And his does smell a little bit more like a horse manure than mine does.
It does. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's nothing against the cigar.
I
but
grew
for
up with
some
horses,
reason,
so I'm very tuned into
literally-
this.
It smells
Senator,
like,
that's a
Hang
lot
on,
of horse
pass this
shit.
to- Pass this to Puba.
It's a bunch of horse shit.
It's a bunch of horse.
We're passing around Senator's cigar.
You have to smell this.
He just
It's so
Gizmo
like,
just put the foot up his nose.
To the
He's not
listener,
going to put his mouth on that.
to the
Am
listener,
I crazy?
No, you're
Am I
not
crazy?
crazy.
It smells like
No,
horse. Pass
you're
it to
not.
Rooster.
You're
Everyone,
not.
I'm
You're
not
crazy.
insane. Everyone has
You're
to smell
not.
it.
There is some sort of an odd smell. To it.
I will not smell it.
We're doing the horse shit
No,
analysis.
there is. There was a
It
actually.
smells like horse manure.
There is a.
Rooster's comparing.
There's
I
a
hope-
somewhat. There's a somewhat.
I hope for the
It's
next.
semi-offensive.
I hope
It
for the
is.
next hour and a
What?
half.
No, smell it.
Bam, you have to smell it. I'm sorry. I'm not crazy.
Take another
Two
one.
guys have validated it.
Take another one.
I hope for the next hour and a half, Senator just gets horse shit for the entire.
By the way, he's like he's now biased. Like it has a different smell. Mine doesn't smell like that.
Yeah, it smells a little different.
It
You
smells a little
can't
different.
tell me you don't smell horse manure.
that may be the one I dropped in the cat box before I came over here today.
Oh, so you admit that you use kitty litter now. I'm glad you said that.
You don't smell it.
No, I'm not getting it. I don't know. Maybe
It's funny. It looks like you have a mustache. If I squint my eyes, it looks like you have a huge Keith Hernandez.
that's right.
Fucking Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez
That's good.
mustache. He looks like Hernandez, dude.
I'm Keith Hernandez. Do you want another one?
I don't know, but
I don't know. It's
let's
touched
try it.
everyone's
Smell good.
nose.
Light it.
Let's try it. Let's see what's going on. Let's light this thing, boys.
Oh,
The Fuente Fuente Opus X
Senator's in
Perfection.
a bad way. I can't wait to see how this goes.
888.
not off to a good start.
Again, it's a Lonsdale, 44 ring gauge by 6 7/8 inches. And bam, how much did you say you paid for these? $42.50?
Way too much. So yeah, they retail $42.50 plus tax.
Oh my gosh.
Now online, I saw them for $25, which is never accurate.
Yeah, but they're not in stock.
No, that's right, and that's why the prices are high.
Really nice on the light.
Yeah.
Really nice.
It's just that there's earthiness and sweetness there. A little barnyard, which I kind of like a little bit.
Yeah.
It's all wrapping
No, it's
together.
really nice.
Yeah. Unusual.
Thank God. It tastes nothing like the wrapper
Oh.
smells. Thank God.
Praise the Lord. Praise the cigar gods.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like,
I was hoping
that's
for
for today.
I was hoping we
That's
were going to
tomorrow,
have
and that is it
I'm
for us
sorry.
today.
That's tomorrow.
You will see Senator in 2 weeks.
That's right. That's tomorrow.
So this is a Dominican Puro. Obviously, everything that is made in the Opus line is made at Chateau de la Fuente in the Dominican. And these cigars were originally released in August of 2018. Very hard to find again. So we're very happy to have them here on the pod tonight. And
Yeah.
Can we just note, I just saw the signature Rooster eyebrow raise.
Yeah. I
Just
saw that.
happened. He looked over at Bam as he took a puff, and the eyebrow went up.
Very good.
That's a
yeah,
good
it's
thing.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good on the light.
Yeah.
I mean, typically when you smoke a young Opus, it needs to sit. It needs to age for a while.
So
you know?
you've probably smoked more Opus, I'm guessing, than anyone in the room. Is that fair to
I
say?
don't know. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
But typically, if you have like an Opus that's been sitting for like at least like 3 to 5 years,
Right.
it becomes like a different stick.
Okay.
Like remember the one we had somebody's house? It was like a double outside, but the guy got the whole box.
Yeah, we had that at the lounge.
No, we had it at.
No, we made him take the box
Oh,
out of
that's
the
right.
locker in the lounge. We smoked him in the lounge.
No, but the original seller we had it.
Oh,
at his place.
right. That's right. That's right.
So that
What size was
yeah,
that?
which
It,
one?
it was the double Robusto,
Double
Okay.
Robusto.
which was
I mean, that-
outstanding.
It was
that,
good?
That sat for
Oh,
quite
very-
some
Oh,
time.
years.
Yeah, that
Years.
was that had to have in total at least
6,
5 years of
7
age.
years,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
5,
think
6
that's a
years.
pretty common thing. If there's going to be a complaint about Opus for the price and what it is the fact that they're not as aged as apparently they need to be.
Right.
Well,
right?
they used to be when they first came out. They were phenomenal sticks,
Yeah.
really sought after. And then I guess maybe they're
They're
rushing
still-
it. I don't know. I mean,
Still
they're-
very sought after.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
sought after, but the quality, it's not quite
Has
like
diminished.
what it was like
Yeah.
in the beginning. Like I used to love the petite Coronas of the Opus line because the wrapper had so much flavor, and you got so much of that from that small size.
So my experience with this, I had it a couple of days ago. If you go through it quickly, it bites. There's a bite. You got to take your time with this one.
Yeah, it's a
So
smaller,
I slowed down.
smaller
I
ring
was like
gauge.
halfway through the first third, and it was really catching up to me. So I'd slow down, and it became very enjoyable.
Yeah, I have to say, Bam. So I apologize for the
Manure.
the early review, which I was worried was not going to be very good. On the light, this is actually really tasty.
Yeah.
It is.
And what's interesting to me, the wrapper on this is probably the darkest wrapper I've ever seen on an Opus.
It is
Yeah.
dark.
Opuses are pretty usually on the darker side.
But isn't
That's
it a
not been my
natural?
experience.
This
That,
is
that double Robusto we smoked was definitely lighter
Yeah.
than this. And even the regular Opus that I've bought that I've hated because they're just way too young, they're all lighter.
Lighter.
They're not like this. I mean, this looks like a Millennium wrapper.
it does.
I really like the size and shape of this cigar.
Yeah.
It does
It's
make
sexy.
it more pleasurable for me than if it was a Toro or a double Robusto. I just like that ring gauge. I mean, we talk about that a lot. but
That's right.
Elegant
yeah, it's an elegant. It just feels good in the hand, and
Very.
it's really, really good. You know, we were talking about it before we came on air. I find maybe almost more than any other New World cigar or any cigar, I find the Fuente lines, specifically in Opus, to be very, very confusing.
Oh yeah.
It's you know,
There's so much.
I'm
It's
not
just-
an expert in the line, but there's so many different variations. Lost City and all Angels Share and Forbidden. You know,
There's a lot there.
there's a lot of different.
Yeah.
I don't know how to I don't know much about them. You know,
Yeah. Pagoda's
Puba-
disgruntled.
Puba, what happened?
Puba had an Ash.
Trying. All right, for the audience, I was just trying to get my water bottle out of this chair that I'm sitting in that has a cup holder. It was stuck in there. Then when I pulled it out, it hit the boom mic, and then that hit the cigar, and now I have ash all over my lap.
All right.
So I got a little discombobulated, and
Call
quite frankly, I don't know what to do with myself.
call Garcon. Garcon.
All right. My suggestion, Pooh, would be grab your ashtray and just put it right at the edge of your leg and just brush it in there.
Okay. You know. We're having technical difficulties. Stand by. You
want me to hold your
geez
cigar?
Louise.
Give me your cigar, I'll hold
No. It's in the ashtray.
Okay.
What do you think, Rooster?
Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, like earthy and a little bit of sweetness coming through.
Isn't that unusual?
Look at that. Worked perfectly.
There you go.
know, I have these kind of.
And you feel the spice on your tongue,
Yeah.
right?
For me, on the front.
Right
I
on
like
the front.
that they're having a serious discussion.
We are.
and he's smacking his lap.
Yeah. I've got a wall up right now.
I mean, it was like ding, ding, boom, boom, and it's like an explosion of my scene. Oh God.
Take a drink.
This is a really elegant smoke.
Yeah.
But you taste that pepper or that spice on your tongue,
Yep.
right on
Little
the
bit.
front edge.
I get on the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into it. Like I'm disconnected from this brand a little bit, so I'm trying to, and that plays into it for me sometimes.
Yeah, me too. It's cost prohibitive. You know, it's expensive.
You know, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, to its credit, I mean, this is just the start, but this on the light so far is easily one of the best opuses I've had.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed.
Yep.
Second best.
That's fair.
So, you know, all of the Opus cigars come in really ornate cedar wooden boxes, really ornate. And they come, this one is obviously called an 888. I think very similar to some of the 898s and other cigars that Habanos has made for many, many years, but it comes in a box of 24. And like you said, Bam, I mean, a box of these is going to at least run you probably somewhere around $1,000.
Oh, easy.
You know,
Yeah.
for 24.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a really premium product
Right.
for 24 cigars.
That's right.
You know, so this is a really nice cigar to have on the pod tonight, but hard to find. And I don't know if I would reach for it in moments unlike this, you know? So Opus, this is really interesting. I learned today about this is that when they release special releases of Opus like this, for a retailer to get it, they have to move 25 boxes of regular production Fuente cigars to have access to one allotment of these special edition Opus.
Just 25 boxes?
Yeah, 25 boxes.
That's not a lot.
No.
Doesn't seem like a lot.
So where I purchased this from, you could consider it an Arturo Fuente destination.
Okay.
They have a ton of Arturo Fuente inventory, a ton.
Yeah, I can see this being a long smoke.
Yeah,
You know, you got to kind of,
you take your time.
You got to take your time. Yeah.
you know, you take your time with it, relax with it.
Yeah, it's
I
not
can't
burning
plow-
quick.
No,
No.
it's not burning quick. And if to Bam's point earlier, if you try and jump on this, it's not going to.
It'll catch up to you.
It's not
It's
going
not
to be
going to do
kind.
you any good.
Yeah.
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 What's intriguing is that layer of sweetness that comes in on every draw. That's what keeps your attention for me.
Yeah.
And I find it to be a very nice, smooth smoke. It's very medium, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The delivery is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can taste there's some age on this.
That's
which
true.
has always been my
Definitely.
complaint with Opus. So I'm thrilled to finally
true.
have an Opus that I can say
true.
definitely has some age on it. Like Gizmo was saying, is very smooth and has full flavor. Where some of the younger ones, for me, there's not enough flavor to excite. This
that's
has
right.
that.
That's right.
It's great.
And I've only had 3 of these, right? So the 2 other Opus I've had, for me, it was a lot of cedar, great tobacco flavor, but not much sweetness, which is okay. Not every cigar I have has that, but when I do get it, it's for me, it's a little special. Yeah.
And maybe we're getting more of the wrapper here than some of those larger ring gauges. It's just,
Yeah.
and that could,
Goes back to our love for this gauge, right?
yeah.
I think that 44. I think a Lonsdale is for me the perfect Vitola.
Mm.
Perfect.
I love Lonsdales.
I love a Lonsdale. Churchill and a double Corona, obviously with our love for the Habanos double Coronas, but this to me, you can't beat.
It's beautiful.
Excuse me, you can't beat this.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
You can't beat
Yeah,
it.
they're great. And it's interesting how the size is not, I guess, quote unquote, in vogue, or it's somewhat in terms of the mass market to a certain degree. Like it's a little bit,
Would you say it's old fashioned?
well, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it's classic,
Yeah.
So those things, I think some of those, just in generally speaking too. So like cognac, we were talking about cognac, Nick, is it cool to order a cognac, or is it cool to be like, I don't know, give me a Belvedere martini or whatever people order or drink or are accustomed to doing. And I just think that this is worthy of, there's merit in this format that I think sometimes gets overlooked by some folks, the mass market, and they go for these big, huge ring, the Robusto, which we love Robustos, but they get into these big ring gauge
Yeah,
cigars,
Toros,
Toros and Gordos, like bigger is better, American, bigger, better, and it's sometimes that's not always the case. There's a little bit of refinement. You don't have to stay on top of this thing like a big, huge ring gauge cigar and keep smoking it and puffing it and surrounding yourself in this huge cloud of smoke. It just delivers a lot of flavor, which is really a nice experience. In this format, I'm talking generally speaking.
Absolutely, yeah. I was telling Senator, I think I was talking to Rooster about it too. I just got a box of my first box of Monte Cristo #1s from Cuba. And from a Lonsdale perspective, which this cigar is, from the Cuban Lonsdales, I've really reached mainly for the Partagas 898, which is a hard cigar to find. And the Monte 1 has kind of jumped in that slot of when I'm looking for that specific Vitola, it's really doing a nice job for me. And it's a great price. And
I've never seen it in person. You had it the other day.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful looking
it's
cigar.
it's a really nice looking cigar.
Yeah,
It's smooth.
yeah.
And I just love that Vitola. It's great.
Yeah, and they're overlooked somewhat.
Yeah.
It's a nice kind of go-to. Especially
Didn't you
in this
have one
market.
at my house?
No, you gave me
Monte-
the 3, I
Monte
believe.
3?
Yeah,
Oh,
which
okay.
I loved. I really loved it. And that had a ton of age on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, to Puba's point about this Vitola being overlooked, I just hope that the Lonsdale's not going to go the way of the Churchill.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in with Habanos in the Cuban market.
There's not that many.
There's not that many anymore.
So, and in the U.S. market, it's not like they're around. They are around, but let's just say in lounges, how many people do you see?
Exactly.
How many people do you see smoking Lonsdale?
It's
very
true,
few.
but even let's think about non-Cuban cigars that we smoke.
Yeah.
I don't know of a Lonsdale in any non-Cuban that I smoke. I don't know of a Davidoff Millennium Series or Late Hour that is a Lonsdale. I don't know of a Padron that's a Lonsdale.
I think they have them,
I
but we
think
don't reach for them. The Imperial, maybe?
The Davidoff Signature Series, like the 2000, 3000. I think that's
I mean, I haven't smoked that.
yeah.
Isn't
Remember,
that milder though?
It's medium. I wouldn't say it mild, but
Call housekeeping.
Oh, Jesus. Puma's got a round two lap spill.
I just don't know what's happening. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was like barely any ash on this thing and it just fell in my lap.
You're discombobulated today.
I have no idea.
can you imagine this?
I
waiting?
need like remedial training or something. I don't know what's going on, but
You got to go to finishing school.
some sort of remedial education or something. I don't know how keeps continuing to happen. There's like no ash and the cigar was like falling off. Yeah, be careful. You're going to get bit too.
Hang on, I'm going to get yelled at.
I have to say something about our pairing tonight. We've been very, very lucky that all of our spirits and alcohol in general have paired beautifully with the cigars that we've picked these past couple of weeks. Tonight, I happen to think this is really a beautiful, beautiful pairing. And I get a lot of honey in this liquor that we're drinking tonight that goes great with the cigar.
Senator, tell us what we're drinking, because I know nothing about it.
I won't lie. I don't know a ton either, but it is
so delicious.
It's Green Spot single pot still Irish whiskey, triple distilled. And I had this recently. A buddy of mine had a bottle of this and had poured me some. And I wasn't at the time even really
Paying
craving
attention.
Irish whiskey of any sort. But I had never had it. So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I like immediately perked up and I said, wow, this is really good. Because the only Irish whiskey outside of Jameson, obviously everybody knows that, but that I would drink would be Redbreast.
Redbreast,
obviously I would drink with all you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed with this.
Yeah.
So that's why I
It's
picked up a
delicious.
bottle.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is it's quite good. We did have it. I want to say that our good friend at our North Lounge poured us some of this one night. But the libations were flowing, I think,
In copious amounts.
But it's balanced. It's kind of like has a dry finish, but it's like sweet up front, which is great.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's which is really nice.
It's really unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It creates balance, right?
It's awesome.
So it's like this like balanced delivery. And for me, I'm all I mean, I'm all over this.
It's so easy to drink.
What's the
is.
price point?
60 a bottle.
Yeah, so it's up there.
Yeah.
It's a premium spirit,
Is there
but it tastes that way.
is there an
Yeah.
age statement on that? No. Okay.
It's really, really nice. It is pairing well with the cigar.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something about it. I think Puba just mentioned it. It's less. It's hitting my throat less than the front of my mouth.
Well, it's
Yeah.
dry. It like disappear, like in the back of your palate.
Yeah.
It's dry, but up front, like on the front of your
It's
tongue,
sweet.
it's super sweet.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just this balanced delivery that's so good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm reading the bottle. It says that it's aged in American bourbon and sherry casks.
Oh, that explains the sweetness.
Yeah.
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 But I love the way you're describing it, Puba. I completely
That's
agree.
cool.
And I think a lot of you guys have figured out, like my palate with anything I'm drinking with a cigar, I love something that's very balanced where there's a little sweetness but has a dry finish. I think Paul Roger is exactly that. It starts a little bit sweet, but it finishes really dry. I think like wines like the Robert Craig that we all had, that red blend,
It's a
like
beautiful
starts
dry.
a little sweet,
Yeah.
but it finishes dry.
Yeah.
And I think this does exactly that, like you described, Puba.
Yeah, it does. And that's nice with a cigar because it's kind of giving you that sweetness, but like it's almost cleansing your palate, which you wouldn't think an Irish whiskey would do. It's almost like it's cleansing it in the finish. And It doesn't have a long finish. It's actually kind of like it's not
short.
Like it's short.
Yeah.
It's like abrupt.
That's
But
what makes it so
that's
easy to
what
drink.
But
Yeah.
that's I think that's a virtue.
I agree.
In this. So it's designed this way clearly, and it's nice.
Yeah. I would have overlooked that in my shopping.
Me too.
Really?
I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I don't often reach for Irish whiskeys. And
Yeah.
the fact that I tried this one night and bought a bottle and thought we had to review it, it really interested me.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, at our North Lounge, there's a lot of additional Irish whiskeys. And by the way, this isn't probably, you know, it's not. That's also an area that I don't think any of us have dove deep into. You know, you get into your habits, you drink Jameson, you drink Redbreast, but there are more premium Irish spirits, Irish whiskey like this that are out there that we should just look at.
Yeah, that's a
try 'em.
great point, actually. Great point.
Puba, you should not feel bad at all.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what it is. The ash literally just like when it just falls off.
Wow.
See?
Look at this. So right here, one fell off, and then after that fell, I was just smoking again, and another one just fell.
Okay,
Wow.
so it's not me.
It's not you. I don't
Right.
know why
You are
that
vindicated.
Yes.
You're vindicated.
Well,
It's-
you're
it's-
both a little busy physically. You're moving around a lot. The three of us are sitting here nice and calm.
very stoic.
Yeah, not losing an ash here.
Okay. So we part of the review, it has a flaky ash.
Oh boy.
Can I say something about that I did? So I cut very little off the top,
Not a
And-
typical
So
the opposite of a gizmo cut, and I got
Yeah,
I
same.
actually got a tar blast,
Oh my God! Thank
and
you.
I had to recut it.
Thank you.
wow.
I'm not kidding. This is not planned. So I thought you were going to say that you should just take a little off, and I was
No.
about to vehemently disagree.
No,
The
I got a
reason
tar
is
blast.
Exactly what you described. So I just took a tiny bit off.
Yeah.
I got a tar blast. I don't know if anyone heard during the recording.
Wow.
I cut again
I didn't even notice.
to get rid of the tar, and now it's wide open, and I'm not getting tar.
How
Yeah,
interesting.
same here.
Same thing happened.
Very
I
interesting.
saw you gotta
That's why I cut mine like that to
Yeah,
begin with.
I need to do that because I cut very little off. And that's what you get at the beginning of your tongue, like right at the tip.
Yeah.
And it was a not a pleasurable tar blast
Interesting.
at
Interesting.
all. I didn't even realize that happened because I just recut.
I'm stunned when you said that.
Oh, that's
the
great.
exact same thing happened.
Wow.
This is why we lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see?
There's
See,
there's
I-
community and ashes falling and tar blasts. And
Yeah, well, right. I mean, so the same thing's happening. I'm not nuts. We're all not nuts.
so is this Irish whiskey? Is this easy to find?
I don't think it's the easiest.
Like Redbreast is a lot easier, you would say.
I think Redbreast is easier, but I also wouldn't say Redbreast is that easy to find. I mean, I just think, you know, and it's kind of unfortunate for Irish whiskeys that it's not easy to find a lot of Irish whiskeys.
They
And
have
when-
small shelf space.
when you
Yeah.
go into
Yeah.
the average liquor store, the only Irish whiskey you're guaranteed to find is Jameson. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
To find other stuff, and there's tons out there, like Pooh was saying, you really have to find a store that prioritizes sourcing that. So
I think
all of them are kind
and
of
I
tough.
think Puba brings up a great point. There's, I think, a really good, interesting world to explore here.
Yeah,
And
there-
Irish whiskeys.
Absolutely. And we're in the right geographical area
Oh.
for it. I mean, the only place better. I mean, you have more Irish Americans per capita 7 miles from here.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Up in Rockland County,
Okay.
in Pearl River, New York.
Mm.
Let's call it what it is. There's more Irish Americans there per capita than like literally anywhere.
I didn't know that.
So because it's all firemen and cops.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just packed.
Wow.
And so there's a market. What I'm saying, my point is, there's a market in the Northeast in general. I think if you went to, I don't know, the middle of Iowa or something like that, you know, you may not be able to find
Right.
this, but certainly in Boston, in New York, in places where there's people of Irish American descent, you're going to get more options. Certainly, I would believe.
And I'd like to call out to the listener: if you're a savant of Irish whiskeys, please email us and tell us what you like and tell us what to reach for, because we are searching for liquor pairings. So please let us know what you like.
And the only thing I'll say, just for the listener who maybe wants to try to source Green Spot, the good news is they do have this at Total Wine and More, which is all over the country. So some of like the large, retailers, they do have it. But when you go into smaller shops, it's harder to find
Yeah.
premium Irish whiskeys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, are you going to find this in certain parts of South Florida at Total Wine? I don't know. Are you going to find it in certain parts of the, who knows, the West? I'm not sure, but maybe.
The one
don't
thing
know
I
how
will
much
say
it is.
about Total Wine, though, is in specific to Florida, when we did the episode with the Foursquare rum, the high-end rum that you brought, the only place I found it after looking everywhere was when I went to Florida with my family.
Wow.
I popped into Total Wine. They had about 10 bottles of it.
I
bought
mean,
two.
that shouldn't be surprising though. I mean, rum in Florida
Yeah,
is
it
like
gets-
water,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
true. It's true,
especially
but that,
South Florida.
But
That specific
that's
one.
specific. But the Foursquare stuff is all small batch stuff. Those are all short runs anyway.
Yeah.
So it comes and goes.
Yeah.
And
I was very
Florida's gotta
happy
be
to find it.
closest to Barbados.
Yeah, yeah,
Easiest
and
for
you're
them.
right. I mean, rum in Florida, and again, it comes down to like the ethnic breakup too. There's a lot of there's a lot of Hispanic population in Florida. I mean, that's no secret.
Sure.
Go to Miami, and
English
Both-
is a second language.
English it's in the second language, and this is going back a long time. I mean, both my parents grew up in Miami, and they both speak pretty good Spanish, and that's going back to
Oh wow.
goes back to the 60s.
I didn't know
Wow,
that.
I
That's
didn't know that.
that's a cool detail.
Yeah, because you would,
Love that.
you're talking, you're talking to people. You have friends. You spend time in South Florida. You're gonna,
Love it.
yeah, use some Spanish.
So I got to tell you guys. So when we did, I believe it was the New Year's Eve episode.
I was not here for that.
You weren't here. We talked about New Year's resolutions and stuff, and I said that one of my resolutions this year is I wanted to drop 30 pounds.
Oh.
And I've been.
How you doing with that?
It's not going good. Anyway, I kind of figured out what it was, and it was between work and life and laziness, maybe it was really that I was just not feeling like preparing my own food and dealing with it and sourcing it and everything. So I am totally locked in. Just started this week on getting fresh prepared meals. So they're not frozen. They can be refrigerated. You order a couple times a week and they deliver it. I'm using, and I really don't like the name of the company.
Do you
and
have
their
to give
marketing.
it? I would not give it.
All right, I won't give
Yeah.
it. No free advertising.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
I found a really clean, awesome producer of fresh meals, and I'm getting them delivered to the house, dude. They're like between $10 and $12 a meal,
Oh, that's pretty
and
good.
I am so locked in. I'm gonna shred weight.
Wow.
But do you have to eat 2 meals to be full? Honestly,
Do I have to eat 2 meals?
At a
Yeah.
sitting. At a sitting.
At the same time.
right? That's what I mean. Like,
Pooba needs to.
2 meals a day.
no,
I
I
need
know, but sometimes with these, I've done like some of that stuff where they send you the meal, and then it's all the ingredients. My wife was doing this for a while. I forget what it was called, but it was like we did it for like a year. But she would make it, and I'd be like, "Well, that I can eat like 2/3 of that."
No, see what I'm getting is already made. I microwave it for 3 minutes.
No, I gotcha. I'm talking portion wise.
Yeah, the portions are very reasonable. Each meal is somewhere between 300 and 600 calories, and they're fantastic.
Are they filling?
I'm totally full, and I'm good for 2 meals a day, and I'm perfect.
Really?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm really glad
Wow.
you're eating clean, bro.
Yeah. Enough said.
Yep, bro.
I don't love the advertising and the marketing, but they're really it's really awesome. So
Yeah.
I recommend it's an expense for sure, but
So here's a question.
to get on the horse again, I need to do it.
Yeah, how much
So-
is it?
It's about between 10 and 12 bucks a meal. So I'm spending maybe 24 bucks a day on it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So you live in a house and you're not alone.
Mhm.
You've got Mrs. Gizmo
Yep.
and Gizmo Jr. and little girl Gizmo.
Yep.
So they don't eat this food.
No, I actually get it shipped to my office and I keep it in my fridge at the office.
So you don't eat at home?
No, it doesn't share.
No, it's not even about sharing. It's just normally I'm eating my food at the office anyway.
Yeah.
Because
So
I'm always there. So
I find when I'm dieting, I can't eat what my kids eat and
yeah,
my wife
that's the problem.
because they're kind of, in shape and I'm a 250-pound obese bastard and I need to lose 20 pounds. So I find when I'm dieting, I have to pull myself away from the dining table and I like to have dinner with them.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that?
To me, when I have like the way that my brain works, when I'm locked in on something, I can succeed. I can ignore the Doritos and the Fritos.
No,
and the
that's not what I'm
donuts.
asking. The camaraderie of the family at the table. Do you have that?
Yeah, we have that. We do it several times a week.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm not. I don't need to reach for what they have, because the other thing that I do is I don't eat dairy. So
That
a lot of
helps.
the stuff
That
that
really
they
helps.
eat is dairy. So that's an easy
Okay.
switch,
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
Cool.
really recommend it.
Cool.
I really recommend you trying it. It's very, very cool. Now for the whole family, it gets very expensive. But if you're out there and you're trying to lose a few pounds, get some meals prepared for you, do nothing, and it kind of for me, it's getting in the habit of eating that stuff again and learning what I like again, and getting to the point that I'm going out and sourcing it and buying it and prioritizing
Yeah.
eating well, because I just haven't been.
Yeah,
You know?
and maintaining your I had never lost weight in my life until like 2 years ago, and I've put it back on, but because I'm 6'3", 260, so which I should really be 240. Do you know what I mean? 242. I got down to that weight just by like really, really throttling back carbohydrates and managing your glycemic index, like with little exercise to no exercise, just maybe walking sometimes.
Food is
from here and
powerful.
there.
Food
But-
is very
but it's
powerful.
powerful. I
Yeah.
mean, so like if you eat, like the way I'm eating now, which is like, I mean, I literally just wake up in the morning and I have 2 eggs on rye toast with a slice of ham and a slice of cheese, and I go about my day, and then I come up and I'm like, what's going on? Then I just have a turkey sandwich on rye bread. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's how at like 2:00. And then then dinner comes and I was like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing for dinner? What's for dinner? What are we having? What are we going to cook? What are you cooking? Like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, it's a whole thing.
It's production every day.
It's a whole fucking production.
Yeah.
And like you fall back on the laziness of like, oh, well, like they all want this. And then it's like, I'm going to and in the winter it gets tough because like, you can't just like throw a steak on and be like, I'm just going to eat a steak and like eat low carb. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you got to it just gets tough. Like I could eat, if it was just me and my wife and the kids weren't around, and Julie and I could just eat like salmon one night with asparagus, but like, we got to make that. And you got to make something for the kids.
Yeah.
It's like a whole production. They want pasta with butter. You know what I mean?
It's like you're creating
like I
two
just
different
want
meals.
pasta with a little butter, and Parmesan cheese. And you're like, okay.
Yep.
To
me, it's not dieting; it's habit change. I did this once. I got down to like 170.
Oh, wow.
I was really thin. I mean, I was loose. A medium shirt was loose on me.
Were you still squatting 450?
No, that's the other thing that happens with weight loss is I'm gonna lose my
power.
my lift power. But so I'm gonna find a happy medium. I don't want to get down there again. I think it's unreasonable. But to me, it's not dieting; it's habit change.
Sure.
It's just readjusting my habits. Like I just need to change how I eat and what I look for.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
anyway, I think I think this has been a good exercise for me in getting back into it by kind of catering to my laziness and just eating well and eating food that's prepared and just doing it consistently. So,
Nice.
well, I'll check in with you guys in a few months and
Nice.
we'll see how I'm doing.
Love it.
The problem is that the food that you want to eat is not cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like anything that's healthy for you, it's not economical,
It's more expensive.
right? Even like if you're like borderline vegan or vegetarian, you end up paying more for meals.
That's right. That's right.
because,
absolutely.
maybe the demand is not quite there, so
Right.
the supply doesn't quite meet the demand.
Sure.
So, but the food is it's the root cause of a lot of diseases.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can cure a lot of stuff
Yeah.
just by eating the
Yep.
right quantity and the right food.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And eating healthy is time consuming and it's actually expensive. It's like a societal problem. We don't have to unpack that all right here, but it really is. I mean, like if you're like in a lower economic strata, let's say, I mean, and you can go to Wendy's, you can go over to Wendy's, you can get, you can feed each kid, no joke, for five, six bucks now,
Yeah.
even during inflation. And they get a hamburger, they get a small fry. You know what I mean? And like you can so
And
if
they're
you're
full.
a working family, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
You can go to the supermarket and feed them like that.
Absolutely.
So, it's not easy.
As opposed to the salads that we've got into, a la Senator, which I thank you for that.
Yeah, they're so expensive, those goddamn salads.
Well, you know, I could live on them.
I could too.
I could do 2 a day, and I will be satisfied. But you're in
$50 a day.
Well,
to get it delivered.
32 to $38 a day.
Right, for
No,
salad.
no, that adds up.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they're spectacular.
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. So food, what did
So
we
that's-
cover? We got to cover travel now? What do
We
gotta cover?
traveled- we covered
Leisure.
whiskey,
Did we cover
food.
leisure?
We did.
Whiskey,
We'll
food.
cover leisure in a second. I want to
Okay.
get back to the cigar, but I do have something I want to bring up about leisure that I'm very frustrated about. But so we're about halfway through.
What is leisure?
leisure? Is everything else.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's what we're doing right now.
Leisure.
This is leisure at its best.
So we're about halfway through the Fuente Fuente Opus X PerfecXion 888.
Yep.
What are you guys thinking?
Consistent.
Not worth the price.
It's not knocking my socks off.
Oh, I don't
Right.
think a $42 cigar is ever worth the price.
Yeah,
well,
so
I mean, depends. I mean,
No.
Chef's Edition, Davidoff.
No, it's $34, right? 34 to 37. Senator, you were saying something?
I'm honestly, I'm frustrated with this cigar. I got a second tar blast.
Oh, I didn't get that yet.
While the
Wow.
diet conversation was happening, I had to cut this further to get rid of more tar.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not happy about that.
Oh, I'm not getting that.
The ash has been falling, just crumbling like throughout the
Yeah.
entire cigar. So I'm constantly having to ash that, which typically you have to do that with a short filler, dirt cheap cigar.
Yeah.
You don't expect that out of an Opus.
Great point.
So I'm frustrated.
Great point.
So
frustrating.
I'm with you on that. I had to cut the cigar like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Just to cut that bite off. I mean, I cut very little.
Were
in
you
the
getting
beginning,
tar,
but
Rooster?
In the beginning, I don't know what it was. I thought it was like pepper on your, the front of the tongue, but it
Yeah.
was actually, you're right, it's
Tar.
It was tar.
So on that, what can I call this? A bellicoso shape at the top? What are we calling that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I tend to take a half
Torpedo
inch
even.
off to avoid that truncated aperture in your mouth where it really concentrates the smoke. I don't like that. It's hot. So I take off a little more. I go half inch minimum. I haven't had that.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Bam, on this cigar, I almost
need to
wish
do
that.
that.
This came with an instruction manual because I would have started
What?
by cutting off a lot more than
Yeah,
I
I would have
did.
too.
Where with other torpedoes, I don't have to take off as much.
Right. That's my kind of
Because
like
listen,
go-to
the
process.
normal-
I take it off regardless.
The
Yeah.
normal lizard mantra is take off as little as you can.
Not on that. Not
Not
for
on
me.
this.
For me though, even BBF, I do take off a little more than usual because I don't like the heat that I get. The smaller the aperture, the more concentrated the smoke. It gets hotter.
But so I guess there's an important distinction here. For a larger ring gauge cigar, like a true bellicoso
Mm-hmm.
or a true torpedo, for me, you don't have to worry about taking much off because it's a larger ring gauge. So when you take a little bit off, you got a good size hole at the top of the cigar, so you're fine. But on a smaller ring gauge
Like
cigar
this.
like this,
Yeah.
when you take off a little, I mean, to Bam's point, it's very narrow. There's not much space for that smoke to
True.
move its way through.
True.
But I still was just surprised that I thought once I clipped it the second time that the draw was wide open. So I thought there was plenty of space and I
That's
got
true.
more tar.
Yeah.
And now the third clip, and so far so good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, with like a Bellicosos Finos, you're gonna have since it is a larger ring gauge cigar, it gives you the mouthfeel of a smaller ring gauge. So you're not, but you're getting the kind of that smoke output. So it creates like a little bit, just a tiny bit of a funnel that the mouth feels really good on it.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Agreed. Yeah.
Some people argue, well, a torpedo or a bellicosos is gonna, it delivers. It's like designed to funnel the smoke onto your palate or whatever. I mean, I guess you could argue that one way or the other, but for me, it's the mouthfeel. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're getting this larger ring gauge, but like when you put it in your mouth, it's a little bit tapered,
Yes. Exactly.
which is more comfortable to smoke.
Right. But even on my Millenniums, I take off a half inch. That's my procedure
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still getting a little bit of tar.
yeah.
Right?
It's
Did
not.
you purge it? Did you push out?
I didn't. No, it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Should.
try that.
It's not. This is not particularly enjoyable. I mean,
I'm not. I'm enjoying the whiskey more than I am the Opus.
Same.
It's not
Yeah.
particularly enjoyable. I mean, for and for $42 on top of it,
Yeah, it's crazy.
this thing I'll throw this thing in the lake.
With the TV.
I mean, the thing that's sad, honestly, where I have to give the cigar credit, like the flavor that I was getting out of this for a lot of it is good.
Yeah, it's delicious, I think.
It's a construction issue with the cigar, which is supremely disappointing from an Opus and a Fuente.
Yeah. You expect the structure of it to keep that ash in place a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's certainly not
True.
to get blasted with tar.
And I'm
Right.
finding the flavor to be okay, but these other things are definitely taking away from it. So on to leisure. I have to ask you guys, because I know some of us have talked about it, and this is a spoiler alert. We're into June now, so the Ozark season finale episodes came out at the end of April, and I think it's plenty of time now to talk about in detail what happened. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, turn us off or fast forward. But what did you guys think about the ending of Ozark?
Amateur bullshit.
Amateur
Thank you.
bullshit.
So I have to start because I was the first to finish the last season, and I was so frustrated and disappointed with the ending. And I thought maybe I'm the only one. So I was like, I genuinely, like, I didn't say too much. I said to Gizmo, when you finish, I need to know what you think. I said to a few other guys, when you finish, I need to know what you think, because I wanted to know if I was out on an island or if other people felt the same way. Everyone I know that has finished that season said, what a disappointing way to end that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the way they ended it, they kind of left it open that maybe they can come out with another season.
That's the first time I've heard that,
Oh,
Rooster. That's not a bad
That's not a bad hypothesis.
that's not a bad take.
Yeah.
That's not like if it could come back on another network or
think
something.
about it. They're both alive.
Yeah.
Their whole family's intact.
Yeah.
They can take over the Mexican cartel now.
It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
That's
you
see,
know
that's
what?
the first time I heard that take, and it makes a lot of sense.
But I think even the way they ended it, like my issue is not that. Like I think the way they ended it can very easily be the end of the show forever, because the premise of the show, like Marty Bird has that quote like early on in the first season, which is something to the effect of like the meaning of it is like, money like is unstoppable, right? Like
Right.
it solves everything.
Right.
And it proves in the very end, like that's exactly the case, right? The two
Yeah.
of them are scot-free, no issue. Obviously, they amassed all this wealth through, the cartel business that they were laundering money for. So I think like it works. I just think the execution of if they were going to kill Ruth, I mean, Ruth is one of the biggest badasses probably in the history of television.
Fantastic character.
Yeah.
Like I truly think that.
Yeah.
Like the way that they made that character, and for her to go out the way she did, unarmed, this woman just follows her home and just shoots her, and that's it. It's over. Like I wanted to see a firefight. I want to see some more spectacular way if you're going to kill off Ruth for her to go.
Yeah, and I also had a problem with some of the realistic aspects of what was going on down the stretch with the show, specifically as it related to Ruth. Anyway, so Ruth, is this character who's smart. She's got these great instincts, and she's navigated through all this stuff. But the problem with the execution of it, like that made it, I'm like, this is not realistic, because someone this smart would not be just consistently just driving around, going back to her trailer with like no security. She's got all this liquidity now. She has all this money, and she can't hire tough guys.
And she just killed
she can't, and she killed all these people, and she can't hire a couple of strong men of her own. Why? She owns a casino. Why is she? I'd be locked up in a suite in that casino with strong men all around me, being like, "You can't touch me, motherfucker!" Like, but meanwhile, she's driving back to her unsecured lake trailer every single night in the fucking rain, and like being followed by herself with not. So I'm saying to myself, this is like, how could someone this smart in reality would never be this stupid?
Right.
She'd be locked up in the
100%.
goddamn Memphis Belle.
At a minimum, she'd be armed. At a minimum.
At a minimum, she'd be packing heat.
Yeah.
And she's not even packing a pistol all the time. It's like, goodness gracious, you've killed drug lords, like multiple. You're murdering people, going around, and you've witnessed all this, but you don't have any security, and you're a multi-gazillionaire. You have all I'd lock myself in the Memphis Belle, run the business. I'd have people bringing me food up there and living in the goddamn business she owns. But meanwhile, she's going back. So to me, I found that to be like, what you expect me to drink this Kool-Aid? And then at the end, when she gets killed like that, it's like, well, I'd rather see a spinoff of the show with Ruth running the Memphis Belle and doing other things and kill the birds.
I agree.
I totally
agree. And to your point about it not being realistic the way that Ruth went out, it's also incredibly unrealistic that Jonah, the son who hates his mother so much that he will not live in the same house as her anymore and is living in a hotel or motel, all of a sudden, and the reason he hates his mother is because she murdered his uncle, her brother.
Right.
Yep. Right. Like a good reason to be upset.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we're just supposed to believe at the end that when this PI, this private investigator, has evidence that Wendy killed her brother, all of a sudden Jonah shoots and kills that guy, and now everything is good between him and his mom. It's okay that she murdered his uncle. It's so implausible. It's ridiculous.
It's sloppy. It was sloppy. And I feel like it was sloppy.
I felt like the thing between Marty and Wendy, all of a sudden, I love you too. After all of this, you're telling me that a car accident and being able to maybe get out of the cartel or getting rid of Omar Navarro, all of a sudden, I love you too. It's like I was expecting that they were going to put a bullet in each other's heads or something.
Right. Which would have been a great way to end it.
You know, to it turned into this love fest between the family, which is so implausible given what happened.
Well, do you remember the beginning? Like the very first episode, she was cheating on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it all started.
Yep.
That's how, you know.
And an episode before the final episode, when they just, everything is wonderful and they just go off into utopia together, you have Marty so frustrated with his wife that he's complaining to his children about his wife.
Yep.
And then the very next episode, everything is wonderful.
I love you.
Well, she changed because, you know, she was going to lose her kids. And all of a sudden, the kids are back.
Well, she didn't change.
Well, like towards the end. Well, towards the end,
she checked herself into a mental asylum,
did.
basically, because she thought that would get the children to be sympathetic to her.
No, I mean towards her husband, she kind of came like she got a little lovey-dovey, and I mean there could have been alternative endings, right? I mean they could have all died in the crash.
When you think of the permutations of the ways that show could have ended, and I've thought extensively about this, every single one of them is better than the way they ended that show.
Yeah, it was a horrible ending.
Marty kills Wendy. Wendy kills Marty. Ruth kills Wendy. Wendy kills Ruth. All of them die. Like every single way you cut it, it would have been better than the way they ended it.
Yeah, it would have been better. You know, I think Rooster has a fair point. You know, I think Jason Bateman is probably an executive producer of the show.
He directed the last episode.
Right. So, you know, let's face it, you know.
You never know.
Stick to your day job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If he directed the last episode, that did not work.
Well, what I'm saying, but I think to Rooster's point is that, hey, I'm not kidding. What do you think? I'm a lunatic? I'm not killing off my character.
That was the best.
Like
Rooster, that's the best thing I've heard so far is
Yeah.
that they're planning to continue this at some point down the road. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
They open it up and he's in Mexico running the cartel with the sister. Makes total sense.
I mean, what's a shame? I've said this to Gizmo many times, and maybe we disagree about this. The single best character on that show for me from day one to the final episode has been Ruth.
Absolutely.
Period.
No
If
doubt.
Ruth is not part of if they were to continue that and Rooster's right, I won't watch. Like I truly, the actress, I'm forgetting her name. I feel like it's Julia something that plays Ruth, is so phenomenal in
Outstanding.
that series. That made it for me. Without her, it's a good show, but it's not a great show. I wouldn't have been.
Let me ask you: are you a fan of Game of Thrones?
No.
I was until the last episode. Yeah.
So did you remember how they were just killing people left and right from day one? Like the main characters
Yeah,
were
which
just
made it great.
Getting
Ruth is
beheaded.
played by Julia Garner, by the way.
That's right.
Julia Garner.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
By the way, Google her. I Googled her after the end. I'm like, what does she look like in real life?
Oh, the same.
Dude,
She looks like Ruth.
no, I know, but in real life, when you like dress her up, she looks pretty. She
Yeah.
doesn't look.
Yeah, they
that-
definitely dressed her down.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
No, she's anyway. So
Yeah, it was a really disappointing ending to me. I mean, I wasn't a Game of Thrones guy. I did watch it because it was on, but the end of that last season is, I would say, the worst of all time.
The first season was the best season.
Amazing.
Yeah, and even if I'm willing to, like, if I'm being charitable, the last season could be fine. It's just the last episode was the worst ending to a major show in the history of television.
Yeah,
The worst.
and you know what the problem is that you when you start to, like, Tony Soprano, for example, all the horrible things that he did, all the things that the killing people, killing Christopher, all those things that Tony Soprano did, at the end, you still loved him.
He was lovable.
You still loved him. So they created this character that was like this, I guess, an anti-hero, so to speak, that's this, like, that you loved. And he's like this paradox. There's like zero redeeming qualities about the birds. When you look at Ruth, and Ruth sits there and she's like, stands there and goes, "Are you going to fucking shoot me or what? Are you going to get this fucking done?" And, like, she's brave. Like, she has more bravery and more courage in, like, her fucking a cell in her pinky than the birds do. Like, they're like scumbags. They're like asshole scumbags who screw over their children and everybody that they run into. Where at least she, she's this courageous person, and then to just have her not win in the end against these, because if you liked the birds, if there was something like, wow, there's something actually likable about these people, they became so reprehensible in every single way that they can't win.
It's funny you say that, because the redeeming quality for me with Marty, to exactly the point you just described, of, like, Tony Soprano's done all these bad things,
and when he died, you mourned Tony. You were like, fuck.
Right. But you're still rooting
if he
for the
died,
guy.
if he really died.
Right. But you're still rooting for the guy. Is when you think about Marty, the thing in the final season that you sit there and I'm rooting for Marty is he does not want to just give up Ruth and have her killed.
Yeah, he's fighting
It's
for
his
her.
wife that's saying, "Marty, there's only one smart decision, and that means Ruth's going to die." And he's saying, no, we're not going to do that. And then for him to just give into that at the end, you're like, okay, well, there's zero redeeming quality about this guy. And it just, like, throws out everything. Like, Marty was always, like, a scumbag and a shyster, like you've described, but he never wanted to do wrong by Ruth because she never did wrong by him. And then at the very end, you're just sitting there saying, okay, well, now there's no reason to root for these people.
There's no reason to root for these people.
And they let the sister kill her. They knew that she was going to. They let the CEO blow the whole thing open about her killing Javi, her son. It was, I don't know, it was just sloppy.
It was
the way
sloppy.
They did it. It was sloppy.
It was
sloppy.
I mean, I'm not saying I can write a great show or something, but, like, I know what tastes good. And certainly this cigar doesn't.
Yeah. It's One thing I will say about the lizards, we're good with segues.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming into the last third here, boys. What do you think, man? I am. If this was $12, I would say it's kind of in line with that. But
Yeah, it
For
won't be in my
$42.50.
rotation.
I will not be chasing this.
I
will not be chasing this.
didn't smoke mine.
Yeah, it's not great. Senator, what do you think?
Gave up.
Like I said, like I just want to clarify, because guys are actually being harsher than I even am about this cigar.
Agreed.
No, I don't think it's
I
bad.
I don't think that like there is nothing flavor wise that's offensive to me in this cigar, and there are some elements of it flavor wise that I like.
Mm-hmm.
But the problems that I've consistently been having construction wise are like just making it hard to enjoy the good parts that exist within this cigar. But where I do agree with the guys that are being harsh about this is, like, at its best, there's nothing truly great to me about this cigar. And that's what's a shame at the price point that
that's
they're
true.
charging for
But,
this.
to the opposite, let's say, of the Calabria episode, right? Where you have an expectation and it blows. I came into this with really high expectations from what Opus X is known to be, supposed to be, priced to be. It's just not there.
That's fair.
It needs to sit for a while.
That's fair. Yeah.
So you smoke this stick in 5 years, it's going to be a different stick.
I'm sure.
But that's my
Well,
problem.
that's-
And I say that because I have the same problem with Cohiba if we were talking about Cubans. If I'm going to pay a premium for a cigar, it should not need to sit in my humidor
Agreed.
for 5 years to
Right.
be a great cigar. I can buy a Padron tomorrow that's aged 4 years. That's going to cost me $14 a stick. That's going to be great and it's going to deliver. The same with Davidoff. I can buy a young Partagas that's going to smoke great right off the bat with just a year or so of age. So
Well, that's what I mean. When Opus first came out, they were using much more aged tobacco than they're using now. So they're rushing it, and that's
Yeah.
why it needs to sit for a
Yeah,
while. And
makes
then,
sense.
if you're going to pay this much for a stick, I mean, like Senator said, I mean, you shouldn't have to
No,
sit like 5 years. I mean, come on.
outrageously expensive. Yeah.
And that's why I have to say, like, of the Fuente line, I will always give the Don Carlos line the most credit
Sure.
in the sense that the Don Carlos Shark, we obviously,
We
that's
love.
one of the highest scores we've ever given a cigar.
It may be the highest.
Yeah.
Maybe the highest.
We love that cigar.
And it's well deserved.
Yes.
And that is clearly aged tobacco. It delivers a flavor unlike any cigar in the world. There's nothing we ever compared that cigar. It's so unique, like we've said about certain other sticks. And even within their line, the personal reserve, I think it's called, it comes in a black box. That's a very good cigar. Rooster gave me the first one I had of that. I had gotten some more myself after that, and I enjoyed them. The other day, Gizmo and I shared a Don Carlos The
The
Man.
man. That was a great cigar.
Oh,
Which
wow.
it's a very limited release cigar with a friend and listener. And we really enjoyed it. And you could see why it commanded a premium. But with Opus, there are just too many times that I light up one of their cigars and I say it just does not, is entirely undeserving of the premium that they're charging for.
Do you
that
remember the cost of the Man cigar?
cigar. I was like 30
I
something.
think it was 30 something, but he had it a while ago.
Wow.
It was really good.
Oh, wow.
It was great.
I would smoke that a lot if I could get it.
So the box that we had that from, the man from our friend, that wasn't aged very long. He had gotten that within the last year or two, but it delivered.
Wow.
The flavor
I
was
think
great.
it was, from a flavor standpoint, way better than this Opus that we're having
Agreed.
right now.
Interesting.
So, all right, boys, let's do the formal liquor rating on the Green Point, and then we'll do the cigar.
Green spot.
Green Spot, Green Point.
Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I'm giving it an 8. I enjoyed it. It's very good. Delicious,
Senator.
tasty. Yeah.
I'm with Bam. I'm going to give it an 8.
Yep.
I'm going to give it a 7. Puba?
I don't know. I really did. I'm sorry. And I love, you know how much I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
No, we're on the Irish
We're
whiskey.
on a whiskey.
Oh,
And by the way, I
not
didn't.
the cigar.
shocked.
I would
So-
not have given the
and
cigar.
by the way,
Oh,
hold on. I didn't make the cigar, by the way.
sorry. It's been a long day. No. The Irish whiskey, the Green Spot. Oh, I would give it. I mean, I got to give it an 8 all day. Yeah, it's very good.
So the composite lizard score is a 7.8
Okay.
on the Green Spot.
I'm buying that bottle. I like it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buying it. It's
Yep.
good.
All right.
Definitely.
All right, boys, we're
recommend.
coming to the end here of the Opus X PerfecXion 888. Any final thoughts before we score it?
Yeah, I'm not getting any of the tar. I haven't gotten that at all.
I only got it once. When I cut it again, it was fine.
And that sweetness continued for me. Now I'm in the final third of this. It ramps up in strength, so it's more of a full flavored cigar. Still a little sweetness. I like it. But for the price, I will not be buying this again. And there's something to be said about that. Yeah.
All right, Rooster, let's do the formal lizard rating on this thing. What do you give it?
So I'm going to give it a 7. Because, I love the shape of the cigar. I just thought I would get more out of it. The beginning of the cigar was pretty good, but I did get a lot of tar. I had to cut it like 3 times. So I think that lingered on for me. That taste was in my mouth. So I'm giving it a 7.
Yeah, I'm even smelling the room. I didn't finish mine. That's
It's
rare.
not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a 6.
Okay.
It's a 6 for me. I wouldn't, if you gave me one, I wouldn't smoke it. If it was in my, I just wouldn't
You'd give it away.
I'd give it away. I wouldn't smoke it. I wouldn't. 6 is probably generous. To be honest with you, it's one of the least pleasurable cigars. To me, it just didn't do it for me. I'm sorry, but not good for me. 6.
I'm going to give mine a 7.
I'm going to give it a 6. And the reason I say that is because on its best day, the flavor could be a 7. But when you factor in, even if I'm willing to overlook that I had to cut it 3 times, twice I got a tar blast, that the ash has been crumbling all over the place throughout the smoke, even if I overlooked all of that, the fact that this is priced what it is for this, it's not even worth half that. So it's a hard 6 for me.
Yeah.
So if this were priced more reasonably, I'd give it an 8. But tonight I'll give it a 7, and I'll give it a 7 all day long because of the price. But I do like that flavor profile of that sweetness. I chase that. Yeah.
So the composite lizard score is a 6.6.
Oof. Yeah.
And a $42.50.
It's almost a
Opus X
$50 cigar. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it does
crazy.
not.
It's crazy.
Listen,
and this is the problem with Opus in general.
Yep.
Really, it is.
Absolutely.
I want. It's not like I didn't want. I have nothing against Opus X. I have really no bias.
I kind of have a bias. Like when I see guys pull out an Opus and I know they spent a lot of money on it, I know that I'm not impressed by that cigar.
Yeah, and it's disappointing that
Yeah.
I mean, given this experience, given my previous experiences with Opus, it just hasn't delivered. And it's like, these folks go out and they spend this money on this cigar. They should get an experience that's equivalent to what they're spending on it.
Right.
For, if you call it an hour 15 or an hour 10 or whatever it is of a cigar,
Yeah.
it should knock you out.
For this price point, an elite Cuban that's very, very hard to find is worth its money. Right. That's excellent and well rated. This is just not in that league.
Yeah, it's just not there.
It's not particularly good.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know what
unfortunate.
else to say. I don't think I'm not sure who would. I don't want to sound too harsh, but I'm not sure who would smoke this and say it's worth a shit.
It's going to be
$42.
it's going to be in your local gas station in a couple of months now after this review.
Not good.
Not good. And a 6.6 is I would
That's
say
pretty low. That's low.
pretty
It's
that's
hard pass.
It's completely accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, boys. Fuente Fuente, Opus X, Perfection 888, a 6.6 on the pod. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. You got to be honest. You got to tell the truth.
We tell the truth here.
It's a good exercise.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Absolutely.
Bam, thanks for sourcing these cigars.
Yeah, thanks for sourcing these.
I'll
cigars.
send you all you're going to get all invoices. I'm invoicing all of you.
I'm actually going to Venmo you.
Actually,
because I feel bad.
I am going to Venmo for you because it's unfortunate that it costs that much. But thank you for getting them. It was actually it's a hard find. I'm glad you got them.
My pleasure.
Surprised, so
My pleasure.
Thank you for doing that, and thank you, boys. We'll see you next week.
Keep smoking.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, loungelizardspod, P-O-D, that's loungelizardspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.